All right, greetings. So join us. We got a cat here right now. Say cheese. All right. Okay. So there's been channelings out there of Arcturian channelings. Of course, you have Palladians too. They're kind of sketchy. But some of the Arcturians, if it's even the Arcturians being channeled, but some of them Arcturian beings do have issues. Let's put it that way. I guess some aren't quite seeing it that way. Overly positive. Some of them can be quite manipulative. They're very, especially in spiritual groups, talking down to people. With what I can see in some of the channelings, not mine, but others. And it kind of lost some respect for the Arcturians, actually. But then again, their energy gets channeled. What are they going to do, right? Not that I had a whole lot of respect for them to begin with, but still, it's just, because it's a popular alien group. So, I guess it's good marketing, I guess, for some. And, it's too bad. Or you can just say their names being ran through the mud. However, I got a feeling on that. There's that too. I mean, there's some rogue agents within the Arcturians, but they have their issues, but they're not like horrible. But you can say some channelers are using the Arcturians just to get attention, and they put whatever agenda, their own agenda, into the Arcturian message, you can say. So, not to name names, but it's very unfortunate. You would think karma would come through that. I don't know. I kind of gave up on that one. But either way, some alien groups are being used and manipulated. Well, they're being channeled, and the channeler can add their own little spin to it. And, try over positive. Well, they know the Arcturian energy. People like that frequency, and then others just hijack it. Or a channeler can hijack it themselves. So without going into too much details on that, well, I can go into some without going into too much on that. Here, I'll just go into a little bit of it. It gets old. It's just really kind of sad, but whatever. Let's see here. What all light workers are working towards. Let's see. Where is it? It's like the how-to of manipulation, basically. Okay. Do this and often. They're programming people. Do this as often as you can. It's manipulation. I'm just reading off some of the subject matters. Either way, I can't read it. Stuff is too gross. Anyway, I can't go into that. I just can't do it. Either way, the Arcturians obviously have their own issues too. They're also connected to the Jinn. I mean, they're fifth dimensional spiritual energies. So, they can be taken all different. I mean, when their energies get channeled, it can be manipulated, obviously. And obviously some Arcturians just have their own inner issues. Well, it can connect to occult energy. They're 5D beings. They don't have a physical form. Some of them can, depending on what dimension they're connected to. But still, of course, some spiritual groups are so far gone at this point. But either way. All right, so we go into some of the Arcturian frequencies. All these alien groups have their ups and downs. Obviously, the Pleiadians have a lot of that. Overly positive, overly manipulative. There are worlds where the Pleiadians, I can feel it. They have worlds where it's like you it's almost like a dictatorship. You got to be positive. You can't just have darkness. I mean, it's almost like a sickness there. I think the Arcturians aren't that bad. They have their issues. They might be a little bit too open, too free, where that can cause some issues too. I know the Greys have fought the Arcturians a lot. The Greys have the similar mentality of kind of this similar mindset to a certain level. What's the intellectual properties, you can say, intellectual thinking. Just their minds are very similar. Let's put it that way. Obviously, the Zetas are more destructive to themselves. Well, so you got to experiment. You got to do your thing. You gotta do what you gotta do, basically. But so we're going to some of the Arcturian frequencies on that front, see if some of them want to reveal some of their issues. Oh yeah, I forgot the art. I don't know if I even had all this set up. Oh yeah, I forgot about a lot of things. One second. The other thing is MK Ultra and soap operas. So I'll have to post it here. Obviously, not many people here probably watch soap operas. That's probably a good thing. But there's a lot of mind control within it. I even felt Scientology. I don't really know sure if what I saw, if it was a Scientologist, it might not have been, but I felt some of the Scientology energy, which I wasn't looking for that. So you have this writer strike going on, the actor strike, and this is the soap operas are on a different union. It's like, oh yeah, the soap operas. Forgot about that. They're still around, which is fucked up. It's like the life of the 1%. They're always backstabbing each other, all sleeping around with each other. I'm not sure if it's hilarious or just traumatic. Maybe it's both. Yeah, when you have rich people problems, you start destroying yourself. So it does have some mind control energies into it. Also has like some of those it mimics life too. Some might actually copy it. I know my grandmother watched this stuff when I was growing up. I don't know if she was hooked to it, but she had it playing in the background, which is, God forbid you have like music instead you have whatever that was. It's something else. One of these soap operas comes to mind. I never heard of it, but it just comes to mind. I guess over time we'll figure out all the manipulation that goes in with it all. There's one which is interesting because one of these, they actually get married on the fake marriage on the soap opera, but some actually get married in the physical, which is interesting. Like all of our TV stuff comes from soap opera stars. At least when we're growing up, I'm not sure about now. I guess you either come from the Disney Channel or you come from a soap opera. Soap opera stuff is absolutely hilarious. But some get actually married in real life, which is interesting. Yeah, just kind of a weird vibe there with that. I'm not sure if I can find it. Anyway, we'll go into some of it. Not that it's that important, but anyway, there's some mind control energies there. If anybody cares, yeah, watch this stuff, you probably go insane. Also, Black Mirror. It's on Netflix. I've only seen a couple of them. I saw the one where they're doing the actors. Actually, it's funny. I was watching. The only one I've really seen is when they copy the actor's likeness and then they make money off of it. So the Black Mirror is kind of mimicking. It's seeing the future, potential futures. Yeah, the energy of the shows is not great. It's like the modern Twilight Zone, but it feels like there's more to it than that. And Twilight Zone talks about other versions of Earth and just bizarreness, which is great. Star Trek's kind of like that too. Star Trek is like the Twilight Zone space. But Black Mirror just is a little bit more subtle. There's there definitely is an elitist energy there for sure. It's not the Yeah, it doesn't come off of the best frequency, that's for sure. So it happened to that. So see where I can go with it. Yeah, I know the soap opera stuff. I don't want to go too much into that. Well, I had it yesterday, but anyway, it's been kind of a tired out day to go further into that. So anyway, so I was talking to comment private sessions. We have a scheduler. We have a shop here. Just keep it short. And then, what else is there? Okay, all right. And then it's still it's some odd vibes about all this, but let's see here. So you got Kelly Ripa. She's on one of these. Let's see. All my children. Oh, it's kind of a weird name for a soap opera. Anyway, she got married on TV. I think that's her real husband, though, which is kind of interesting how, and they do this like boring ass wedding and everything. They just bore the hell out of everybody. But anyway, this is one life to live. There must be some kind of energy there. It just basically is kind of like programming people, basically. That's why they call it programming. And it just does it very quietly. But some of this stuff, I forget where it was. It had a Scientology vibe. I guess you can say it's part of how the elites tell you what they're doing too, at least in their own lives. Of course, they have the TV show Dallas. That was like that also. Like the classic version of it. That was kind of the same thing. So it was also obviously this programming of how we should be and everything. So I mean, it seems like it's harmless, but it's actually there's a lot of agendas built into this stuff, and it literally is there to sell soap. That's why they call it soap operas. Selling whatever. That's what something else. So anyway, what's happened to some of the MK Ultra frequencies there. I know they're talking about Project Montauk and all of that. It's like, what about a soap opera? What about that? Like, most people don't even watch that stuff, but they're still on, so somebody's paying attention to that. It's almost like it's as manipulative as a political energy. It's the same thing. Either way, we have a long ways to go. So, all right, going to Arcturians and their issues, and they'll blame humans for everything. I doubt they're going to do that. But their energy does get channeled, and then it gets manipulated. Not to say they definitely have problems, but doesn't. Yeah, there's some that just have a vendetta against humanity too. But they're warning too. So when I first started channeling, I channeled a teenager Arcturian, never connected him ever again. I could feel a student right next to him also. So it was a kid, it was like in school. It was like anyway, I felt a girl that was right next to him. And it was like connected to their university or something like that. So that was different. I never saw that energy ever again. So I'm like a school project for him. Could have been another version of myself at that point. So anyway. All right, we're going to Arcturians and everything else. All right, blessings. Greetings, we have Arcturians. Blessings. But there are some Arcturians that feel like they are teaching humanity, and maybe they sometimes go too far as for their message. Some of them can be very controlling. And not all usually notice. Some of you might notice it. Many people not. Some need it. Some need that direct, that direct teacher energy. And a lot of humans still have a long ways to go in their evolution. But obviously, some of you might be seeing the flaws within the Arcturian groups themselves. Yes, they might be talking all of this, like how humanity can evolve. It's like, yeah, but maybe some of the Arcturians have issues, and that is true. Well, they're just like university teachers, also. They can talk a big talk, like what they've been taught, but it doesn't mean that they can, you know, there are obviously many issues. Meaning they can't mimic what they're telling you a lot of times. They can't. Well, their society doesn't have the issues your society does. So they don't have to go through what you're going through. They're just going by their intuition, how they see your reality. And sometimes they can be slightly harsh or just direct, however you want to word it. And some humans here still have a long ways to go to, you know, not be so hard on themselves because there's a lot of that happening. But as for the Arcturian beings, some of them do have issues with humanity, obviously. Well, they feel like humans are draining their frequency. A lot of Arcturians incarnate as humans here, and many Arcturians, it's like, why do that anymore? It's like, let the humans figure themselves out. It's like, it can affect relationships on Arcturian worlds. Like you're in this nice relationship, and all of a sudden your partner either disconnects from you or has issues or just becomes another person altogether. And it has to do another version of themselves incarnated here. So it's a little bit complicated in that regard. So you aren't realizing, I mean, not to look down on humanity or anything like that. No. It's just that you change lives and not even know it. Most of the time it's for the better. It's, you find flaws in other alien beings, and you find flaws in yourselves that you're working on, and other alien beings find issues with themselves at the same time. So, you are helping on multi-dimensional levels. So, yeah, sometimes you might have spirit guides that are kind of off, and yeah, because they are affected by your frequency. And obviously, it's up to you to clear that energy. But how would you know? It's like having toxic friends around. So, Arcturian beings are advancing themselves emotionally, even physically. Even if they're not physical, they still feel like they are becoming physical. And sometimes they do lower their energies after connecting with humans. Well, because a lot of them are technically weak. Well, because they don't have a physical environment. Arcturian realms are usually pretty stress free, and they connect to your world, and they go through a lot of stress. And so, yeah, they feel like humans are going to get to their level, but their level has a lot of issues of its own. It's not that complicated. Well, it's just that sometimes it can be arrogant. That's the Arcturians. They can be very arrogant, complacent, and flawed when they're not always understanding everyone. Similar to it's like the Star Wars. Was it the Jedi? Very having conversations and not noticing anything, not noticing corruption. Sometimes I might notice it, but then they don't do anything. Like the councils, the Arcturian council can have their own issues also. It depends on the council. Some of them are with it and others are not. Well, some Arcturians, I would say, are kind of jet setters. So, yes, they can be very, they have different classes also, just like your world. Some of them can be very privileged, and you don't know why they got those privileges, and be completely clueless at the same time. It's not much different in your world. It's just more of a fourth dimension, fifth dimension environment. And it's a like there are alien beings that just have luck for some reason. And nobody understands it. Well, they have their ideas, but they don't really understand it all, not usually. And same thing on your planet. So it's just your world has an awakening it's going through. Even Arcturian beings, Palladian beings also have a lot to figure out themselves. As you evolve, they evolve with you. So yeah, some of you might feel like some of these Arcturians can be a little bit pretentious. Probably because they are. Well, it's just the way they are. And you're just bringing them more down to earth and helping them connect more to themselves, and clear out some, because some of them do look down on humanity. Some do, not all. Some do. Well, they feel like they can help it. It's almost like a yogi, almost like a Buddha. Some of them feel themselves as. Yeah, but it can also give you false energies. Like, yes, do this, do that. Follow our. It doesn't always work, of course. It's like some of them have a religious frequency around them. They just have a lot. They just have a lot to work on, just like your world. It's just that it's more difficult. Well, they find their issues when they connect to humans, and they can't either incarnate on your world to clear it out, because they can't always do it on their environment. They have to literally come to a third dimensional environment to face it. As some of you know. That's nice. Greece uses the MK Ultra energies, environments. You don't have to necessarily call it that way. It is a government operation, you can say, on a higher level, though, not necessarily on a physical level. Well, the soap opera frequencies, yes, of course, there's mind control there, but it's also settling out differences. There's also a clearing going on there too. Hey, look, something some of us can relate to. It's just was sorting out its problems by, you say, broadcasting its issues. Um, yeah, none of this is gonna make a whole lot of sense. But there is some mind control, obviously, the human race. To also go more into its problems, to really start facing its dark side, so it can bring more light through itself. So obviously, many are not watching soap operas for obvious reasons, but some of you might feel like you're living one. On different levels, you don't necessarily have to watch. It's like, oh, I don't need to see my life on television. But some are, yes, they get married on TV and then they get married in a real life. It kind of shows, well, that also shows they're part of the system, part of your reality control grid. So it's like they agreed upon it. And it's just part of the creative reality that you're living in. And it's basically, some of you are here to break free of that. So like to bring more honesty, more just clear out the shadow here. But the darkness here has to bring out some version of what they think humans should be. Maybe that's just a shallow race and all. It's just, as you go into more of a timeline of more realism, just no more of this cryptic speaking, more you're just gonna be upfront. You can talk to anybody publicly about anything that you believe, which will be great. Sometimes television does it because the real world can't. As some of you know. Like, so that's why fiction, all that, has a purpose. Like, wow, you can talk about it on a fictional level, but you can't say it verbally yet. Well, it just shows your world will find it eventually. As for when's another story. But the idea is for, yes, more society to be able to say anything. Obviously, with a good intention, which would help. Um, yeah, being harsh on everyone doesn't get you very far. Well, it does lower productivity, but that's also the alien realms, the higher dimensional realms. Is basically just not hiding a whole lot or anything for that matter. You don't tell them your whole life, but just more honesty in society. It's like you're being taught how to be human here, the version of it. And some of you are here to change it. That's why some of you are so frustrated. Because the version of human here is isolated, disconnected from society. Just, you have your circle of friends, if that, and then that's it. It's almost suffocating. There should be more. And that's why many of you come here to bring out more of equality, basically. As many are coming out of their sexuality and all that, shouldn't you be allowed to come out of just anything that you believe? Which is not always the case, I just want you to know. So, blessings. Greetings, we have the Archons. The Black Mirror frequency, yeah, sometimes sees the future, similar to like the Simpsons energies. Well, it's basically, yeah, it's kind of like a black hole society, basically. Well, there are other versions of Earth that are speaking to you, at least on a spiritual level. And it's up to humanity to choose where it goes, of course. So it's always giving you options. Black Mirror is a way of just showing, like, it's also clearing. It's just like, yes, it's saying what you can't say publicly, what you can't say in your own lives is part of that also. But it's also giving you warnings of the future in its own way. Not dire end of the world warnings, but just showing you where your world is heading into if you continue to observe. So obviously, in some ways, Black Mirror has like even solutions, sort of, in some ways, so you can. If you feel like you're in an episode of a television show, don't be too surprised. Well, if you just happen to find that, it just shows either you're reminding yourself from another reality where you've been through this before, or you're just being reminded that's where your world is heading into. Well, possibly. There's always options here. So just humanity is not aware of anything yet. Some of you are becoming more aware. Obviously, more of your collective has to want the answers. They're not always asking the questions. Some of you are asking the questions, but there's few of you. If there's more asking questions, wanting to know more about itself, even in the Earth's origins, it can happen. You got a long ways for that one, though. It's basically you're just here, you're learning how to get along with each other. Obviously, that's not so easy. Doesn't mean I have to get along with everybody, but just basically more of equality here, just more of an equal energy. Obviously, a lot of hate going on in society, especially with the police, actually. Well, some of them are just, yes, racist, but not all of them. Some of them just are trigger happy. Well, some of them have a lot of aggression, don't even realize it until it's too late. They're working on that, though, but still. It's not helping. Of course, there's a lot of infighting. Elite energies cause trouble within the poor to fight the police, and so the police is like, so there's It's a game, and why you're here to more realize the central core of your game. Obviously, it's a life and death game, but then again, in games there is life and death, and that's it. So, but you're basically going to more of the core of how this all works. Well, it's happening slowly, but you're on that path, though. To have some more insight of where you're heading. Blessings.